Hey everyone, I just thought we'd have a bit of a look around the empty engine bay and have a look at the configuration of the front diff, the front diff and the steering rack and all that sort of thing. It's things you don't really get to see while the engine's in the way. So let's just have a look from the front. You've got the lower radiator support here at the front. That's what the back of your bash plate generally connects to. It's just pretty thin steel, about 2mm thick, so there's not a massive amount of strength in that. Of course, you've got your sway bar going across here next. Then you've got your power steering components, so you've got your couple of lines that go up to the power steering here, which are currently capped off at the moment. High, low pressure, so in and out, which come back over to this part of the steering rack here. That's obviously the steering rack there. It's mounted with these two big bolts here, and we don't see any issues with any of those bushes or these coming loose, in particular in the Prados. Other makes and models certainly, but in these personally we haven't seen those issues, so we don't believe there's an issue there. But you can give those a tighten up if you like. They're going to be very difficult to get to with the engine in the way, but you can just see the top, the head of the bolt. I just thought I'd show you that. I'm going to take a guess. It looks like about 17. So that's my guess. What else we got? So that's your rack, that's your pinions over here. Obviously goes up into the vehicle, so it's not Fred Flintstone style, you know. You need to be in the car, not out here steering it. So there's a uni joint on the bottom there. Okay, that's not really maintainable. There's no lubrication you can do, but as I've demonstrated in some videos you might have missed, if you want to lubricate that, I believe you can possibly get some grease into it using some spray grease with a little, and just push it. I'll put a hand around it with a rag at the back and just try and direct some grease into it every now and then to get a bit of lubrication. It is replaceable. You get the component, it goes from the steering rack down here up to that joint there. Okay, so that's one piece. I think it's a few $100. I think I've got a couple on the shelf there at the Prado Hospital. I've got one to put on my vehicle eventually, and a spare one for when someone needs one. And there's also, once you go inside, there's another bigger piece with a uni joint on it. So that rattle in the steering that you get sometimes can be a number of different components. It could be play in the tie rod ends. It could be loose or worn bushes on your rack, but I doubt it. It could be partly in that uni joint down there, right, this lower one, okay. And it can also be the one up inside, and it's more likely, if it sounds close like your steering wheel's about to fall off, it's probably more likely the one inside. So quite a bit of work to get to replace that. This video is not about replacing that, it's just let's have a look around and see what's here. This is where the engine mounts normally go. They're out because they're getting replaced. This one's getting new engine mounts with the new engine. Steering rack pretty well covers that, high, low pressure, in out, a few lines. Obviously, you know the rest of it. Obviously, this is your front diff. There's your mount. You got two mounts. You got one at this side here, as you can see, two bolts underneath, and then it mounts onto the chassis here. And around this side here, same thing. You can see this big bolt up the top here, right? Needs to be undone from underneath if you want to take it off. And there's about 3 bolts, 17s, I'd guess again, on the front diff there. They're the two mounting points for the front diff. It doesn't actually. No, there's a rear one as well. So yeah. Don't forget, so that bolt there at the back there, and whatever. So if you're putting your diff drop kit, the proper Propico diff drop kit, in a Hilux, I recommend it. If you're going to go off-road and you've got aftermarket suspension, not really needed on the Prado, but each to their own, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, that's the hard part to get to. This part, these are the easy ones, but that's the hard part. So there's 3 components to that diff drop kit, the proper brackets from K-On. That's why it's probably a bit more on the expensive side. Quality Australian made, properly engineered components, not just throwing some spaces in. Moving out, so diff, engine mount, steering. Obviously you can see your transmission there and the torque converter's in there. 6 bolts to the torque converter, as you can see. What else? So let's talk about the breathers while we can see them, because it's something else we can't normally see with an engine in the way. So one of them, that one over there, is most likely your transmission. I'd have to refresh my memory on that. You can put in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't ever forget that earth on the back there to reconnect that. If you do an engine, you'll have problems. You'll have things going on like the engine won't run without a scan tool plugged in or something like that. Things like that will happen. It's just one of those weird things where you forgot that earth strap. So make sure that's clean and tight, although it does look pretty, looks pretty clean, doesn't it? Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. But this breather over here, that'd be probably for your, what do you call it? Your transfer case. You know that thing beyond the transmission? That, what do you call it? That's what I believe anyway. So transfer case, automatic transmission. in behind the head. It's up pretty high. I'd say it's about 700-800 off the ground. And of course, transmission goes in, it cools down. It's going to stop sucking air. This little hat that's pointing upwards, just like your front diff one, it's up really high. That's your front diff one there as well. You might not have seen that before, you can see. So there's your front diff. Check all your connections there are good. And the line comes up here, it's up nice and high, so there's no need to mess around. If you've got water coming in your front diff because you've gone in water deeper than that and somehow managed for water to get under that, you've got bigger problems. And I'd pretty much say the same with the transmission, but if you're going to go and do stupid stuff like Cape York, OTT, that transmission one there, because you can get a bit of oil in your diff, it's not going to kill it. You can get a bit of oil in your transfer case, a bit of water, not oil, you know. There's oil in there, a bit of water, it's not going to make any difference really. It might be a bit grey and who cares, and change it after the trip, it doesn't matter. But if you get water in your transmission, it's expensive and it's likely going to cause problems. You know, you don't want any water in your transmission. So on my 120, when I did that, took the 120 up that stupid track, it is just a bit silly really. I mean, you're a long way from home, you know. I mean, nice place, but it's just a pig pen out there, really, depending on the conditions at the time. Point is, I did extend that one up to the EGR valve, even though you probably don't need to, but that's the one. Transmission's the one I'm always nervous of. Stock standard breathers, the rest of the car. Never had water in anything like all the other vehicles that come on the trips and in the workshop. So, and we're just moving up. Nothing else to see here. You can see the wiring room splits off, goes to the back up to the top of your EGR and your injectors and everything. You can see your heater core just there. That's what that is, the aluminium heater core. What else we got? So your aircon pipes go in over this side here. A bit easier to see at the moment. This is obviously a 120, 2008. What else? I don't know. I think that's it. If I hang around any longer, it's just going to turn into waffle. Let's have a look at the upper control arms, right? So we don't see any problems with upper control arms or the bushes. There they are at 330k. You want to have a look, see if you can see something wrong with them, because people love changing upper control arms to aftermarket rubbish that just rust away. And I don't really see an issue. So they're a bit of a pain to get out, obviously. It's a long bolt, comes out from this end. So you're going to often need to put batteries and other things out of the way so you can get the bolts out this way. Same thing over this side. You can see it's, you know, you've got some light clamps that you got to remove in the way of that bolt there. So yeah, a bit of a job, and you know, just leave the genuine ones there is really the go. But I've got to think of something else yet, isn't there? There's got to be something else we can show you while it's out. Power steering we did, rack. Just thinking out loud, bit of chit chat. Brake line. Yeah, I reckon we're about done. Brake line split off there. What else can I tell you about? You can just really see things there. Different view, isn't it? So anyway, I hope you like that one. Let's do a picture for the thumbnail. Right about that one will do, and we'll catch you on the next video. Subscribe, turn the bell on if you don't want to miss it. See ya.